Hey everyone, this is cool. I will be doing a VOD of xSixVer versus coLStalife. This is the MLG Columbus 2011 event, and this, I believe, is the winner's bracket round 3. So neither player has lost up until this point, and they are playing in this double elimination tournament. The map will be MLG's Tal'Darim Altar, and from what I can tell, since there's no supply depots at the choke, I would imagine this is almost identical, if not very similar, to the latter edition of Tal'Darim Altar. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the format of MLG actually picks the map for each round. So that means neither player actually picked this map. This map was predetermined by the tournament administrators, and does actually play a pretty important role in kind of what the players expect and what the players want to do. Now, Ver, as you may know, is a very macro-heavy Terran. Ver spawning as the blue Terran in the bottom right-hand position. So Ver, in most cases, would actually prefer to play on a map like this. So this is very important. That really gives Ver the advantage right away that he gets to play on a map that he really enjoys. coLStalife in the blue left, in the green bottom left-hand corner, excuse me, is going to go for an early barracks right away. Not really sure what xSixVer is expecting to do, whether or not he plays as macro heavy as Ver, if he can match that kind of level, but it'll be very interesting to see. Early gas going down for coLStalife, so no really early pressure, expansion. We can definitely kind of rule that one out. Whereas Ver, on the other hand, no barracks. Looks like he is going to go for save for 400 minerals and go for that early command center. So Ver right away showing why he loves to play the macro Terran, and is going to prove that he is the macroist of them all. With that early gas, I wouldn't be surprised at all if a Reaper comes out after this Marine or some sort of tech lab push with a Marauder. So early gas is a little bit telling of some sort of earlier pressure, earlier harass, possibly a Reaper. So expansion going down. First barracks is going to go down for Ver as well. Ver still scouting. Very similar timing and scouting for both of these players, and both these players actually scouting in the wrong positions right off the bat. Second barracks going down for Ver, and Ver is going to go for, this is very likely to be a lot of heavy marine into some sort of bunker defensive position. This 400 mineral was an investment for later in the game, so he is going to be a little bit behind with regards to making an army right off the bat. So I think a bunker would be very smart, and that is something that he would probably look into. If we go check on this barracks, yeah, a Reaper is going to come out of the tech lab that was finished on the barracks, and then a command center being dropped immediately after. Now, I believe coLStalife has not yet scouted Ver, and that's absolutely true. So actually, this position is really good for these Reapers. As you will see, this Reaper is going to go down this bottom path, hop twice, hop again into Ver's base, probably kite around this mineral blind. So that'll be very cool to see what kind of damage he does with this Reaper. Now, Reapers are very good on this map, especially in these types of positions. They're not only good for scouting, but they're also good for just doing harass, dancing around some SCVs, trying to get some SCV kills. It'll be very interesting to see how much damage he can actually do. And actually, there's no Marines at the back of his base, so Ver is going to lose a single SCV, is going to lose a second, but now, finally, Ver realizes what's going on. This Reaper is going to get chased away by SCVs. This Reaper is probably going to hop away, and before he does, he actually kites one more SCV. So that Reaper doing a lot of damage relatively early. 3 SCV kills is still pretty significant. He is going to scout the front of his base and see a bunker. So he is gonna. That is gonna be some intel to know that, okay, Ver, even if he hasn't expanded just yet, that is what he's planning to do. So he can kind of safely assume that, and it's not necessarily safe. Of course, I've seen Bunker fake something very similar of, I think, what Energy Lucky Fool likes to do, where you make the command center, but then actually you make the bunker, but actually don't make the command center behind it. But I think xSixVer is gonna realize Ver likes to play some sort of macro style, so I wouldn't be surprised if xSixVer plays a little bit heavier econ for this period in time as well. I don't think either player has enough of an army to do any significant harass. If we go to the Union Count Station, we have that 1 Reaper plus 10 Marines and 24 workers. On Ver's side, we have 26 SCVs with 9 Marines, so almost very similar. Ver is a little bit ahead on SCV count. I expect Ver to go up even more with these additional expansions, and Ver actually going for a third expansion right away. This is very interesting because normally Terrans would, later in the stages of the game, take a expansion here, but Ver deciding to go right away for an expansion and is going to build where there are no rocks. So Ver is going to set 4 Marines to take this watchtower. This watchtower is very, very crucial. I just want to point out that this watchtower, look how much vision it gives just from the single watchtower. You can really tell when the Terran's going to move out. Reaper is going to go back
are under attack
and attack Ver's base once more. Let's see how many kills he is at. He's at 5 kills and finally being chased down. Very nice micro by Ver, but does lose 2 SCVs in the process. So back to these watchtowers. These watchtowers are very crucial because, especially if you take this one as well, you can really see what the Terran, when the Terran is moving out, if he's doing any expansions. A lot of times you'll catch the SCVs moving out. So Ver is going to be able to see, but StaliFe moving out with this pretty significant Marine force. These Marines do not yet have Stim. Stim almost being finished. Both Stim being researched by both players. Ver is going for another expansion. Sorry, oh, okay, that's just the orbital command. So he is going to be researching orbital command, not getting a planetary fortress. So being super, super greedy, Ver, instead of making a planetary that's a little bit more defendable, he is just going to go for orbital command and hope that he just boosts and gets a huge economic lead. Stimpack is a little bit quicker for StaliFe, but Ver is going for the +1 timing. He is going to research +1 attacks for infantry. It's a little bit quicker. It would be interesting to see if StaliFe just finished his engineering bay. StaliFe will probably go for upgrades soon. Let's see. Not quite yet, maybe not. Is going to hold off a little bit. Stim is going to be pushed, finished for complexity StaliFe, so I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to maybe move out a little bit. Stim usually, Terrans like to move out right when Stim finishes, so it'll be very interesting to see what StaliFe does. And he is going to move out with these 2 medevacs, decides to send the medevacs back. He says, hold up, you guys have another job. The medevacs are going to now follow. StaliFe is going to go to the watchtower, but Ver is smartly moving away. Now, if Ver had stayed without Stim, Ver's Stim still isn't quite finished. Ver would have been in a lot of trouble, especially with the higher Marine count. Ver is going to go back, get into these defensive positions, and this is a very smart move. If we look at the map presence, we can see Ver already getting a sense of power. Notice that there is a Terran building at the bottom of his,
research
his 4th, his 5th, yeah, what would be his normally 4th, but he has control of 3 of the 4 watchtowers. So very impressive. That is going to do push and far. Bunker is going to go down SCV. We're not able to put the SCVs coming out 2 damage. Medevac doing a lot of damage to these Marines are going to do a lot of damage, but the medevacs do pull off the remaining SCVs remaining Marines, for complexity StaliFe. So interesting battle. I think Ver lost quite a bit of SCVs, but if we look, actually, wow, Ver is down in SCV count, so StaliFe takes the lead with that push. I think Ver just lost too many, wasn't able to kind of hold off just because he has been going so heavy econ. Ver is doing very nice scouting, just sending 1 Marine to almost every single base. Another SCV coming out, so I'd be very interested to see if this SCV, this SCV is going to go build another command center. So this will be his 4th base, whereas StaliFe hasn't even thought about making his 3rd just yet. So Ver is going to be almost double in bases. So I really think Ver needs to start really focusing on his army. StaliFe's +1 is now finally getting finished. Ver is not going for +2 just yet. He's now going for +1/+1. Is now researching a drop being prepared by xSixVer, but I think he's going to pull back. This Terran army is going to move out from complexity StaliFe, a few tanks and a few Marines and Marauder. Very interesting to see only 1 Marauder in the mix, so very tank Marine tank heavy, which is pretty standard. Really as much gas as you can for medevacs. These Marines are going to get off the time. This sees the little action here at the bottom and is going to be taking out his force, so that's a huge hit for Ver. Ver, not seeing his mini-map, probably doing something else, focusing on some of his macro skills, macro abilities, macro orbitals, heals, whatever. So complexity StaliFe is going to start doing a tank drop, Marine drop, with tanks gearing up. This is very common for Terran against any matchup. You know, Terran sieging the tanks right here actually does reach the mineral line, but I believe Solange has no idea about that. He has no idea about any of these other bases, so it'll be very interesting to see SoLife. I think he's going to deduce that, okay, Ver has this many units, there's really no way he can produce this. You know, in SoLife's vision, he really only thinks Ver is on one base right now, so I do believe SoLife is going to figure it out and, you know, follow the clues, figure out that Ver has some other expansions throughout the map. So map control is still being dominated mostly by Ver, but SoLife is also sending SCVs to scout different positions. As I was saying, he is probably suspicious of other expansions, so it's very interesting. Ver is looking up SCV, so SCV actually doesn't confirm that there's an expansion, but SoLife decides just to scan, and he sees that as well. It is interesting to note that SoLife's game count is actually much, much higher than Ver's, so that is going to help him in the huge battles, but if he doesn't siege, that means it really doesn't mean much. Ver is going to be with the hard Metavacs, and then with the Metavacs, he is going to play by both sides against SoLife's army. SoLife's army is getting things fallen at the center of the base. Vikings coming in to deal damage to the Metavacs, actually really no use other than to kill Metavacs. I really like to watch tank Viking wars, but you know, after the flower nerf and just in general, I think Ver is still likely to stay with this many racks. I think he is going to stay with infantry, but you know, watching some of those older GSL games, from GSL 1 and 2 with the Terran vs Terran tank Viking wars, is still pretty awesome to watch. But this one load, Marine is going to pick off the SCV building, rebuilding the command center. The third command center, what would be the third, is finally being finished by the rocks. The rocks are getting taken down by the SCVs. They are mining from there, it looks like. SoLife is going to push out to one of these watchtowers held by Ver. Ver now down to 2 watchtowers, so both players are using watchtowers. Ver is going to play, he's going to catch the siege. He get a chance to siege, but it's probably a little bit too late. Vikings drop down to do melee damage, and out attack. And SoLife's army is going to get cleaned up once again from Ver. So Ver looking really, really good. If we get to the income tab, actually SoLife still at a higher SCV count, and I really can't agree with this. If you're not expanding, there's absolutely no reason to make this many SCVs. And SoLife, you know, he is spending his money pretty well, but I would love to see just a few, you know, command centers being floated off. I would say he needs maybe even 2 or 3 more for this many number of SCVs, especially since this is going to get mined out pretty soon. SoLife is going to take out these destructible rocks and float that command center as soon as he exactly what he's doing. Ver is going to do a little poke in the front, scans and sees that he does not have enough, so he's going to retreat. I think this is a smarter decision. Ver going to meet up with the rest of his gang, coming in, reinforcing. This rock is still not done. A lot of idle STVs from Ver, so something maybe to watch for in the future. These gases, as you can see, you know, gas Terran isn't really, Ver isn't as starved for gas since he is going heavy marine. He is thinking about possibly getting more, maybe for some later tech, but I think both players are relatively good. On the other hand, even SoLife has too much gas, generally, Terran armies don't really require as much gas as, say, a Protoss army. So these armies are going to meet up in the middle of the map, doing a little bit of some sort of dance. They are going to throw down. They're going in. Things are going to siege up. They're going to do a little bit of time. So Refusion backs away from the same fire, gets scared from the siege tanks, and I think that was probably a smarter move. Ver is going to go and check this third. It'll be really cool to see if Ver can deny this, but Terran still needs to reposition right away. But he does not. Ver is going to go for a spin. Yes, yeah, he is going to go for a spin. But I think they're just moving the SCVs. SCVs are going to try to repair. Will he have enough? Yes! SCVs do actually over repair. These siege tanks are sieged. I think Ver's going to lose this. This is pretty bad for looking for Ver for this army, but that's okay. This Metavacs, oh, not retreating, getting 3 Metavacs. SoLife just taken away. Wow, lost. That was a huge, that was 5 Metavacs worth of units that were missed, and I believe I missed a drop here. Sorry about that. This expansion is going to float away, so probably I'd imagine some sort of drop or even just a few Marines going in. Ver and SoLife are going to meet in the middle of the map. Ver does see this on the walk there's just so many SoLife. I just think that there's not enough. Ver needs to really up his siege tank counts to match him, or even possibly go for some sort of aggressive heavy drop on the tank so that they do take melee damage. And I think that is exactly what Ver is going to do. If he drops right in the center of these tanks, it's going to do absolutely nothing. Actually, killing themselves with the friendly fire, and the tanks are going to be wow, so Ver only took down one tank in that exchange, and the Marine is actually pulling up the M&M drop on that tank little pal. So that was pretty cool. Ver is going to be able to see this expansion being moved.
Under attack.
Marine. At that, this is going to be xStalife's 4th base. So while Ver has been on, he has been on 4 for this long, his 5th is still now being pushed down. xStalife now finally catching up to equal number of bases. As I mentioned before, xStalife just making so many SCVs. This is great, but he doesn't really have enough expansion to support it. That over the base, really got right in front of Ver's base. Ver is going to be losing a lot. Ver just does not have the tank count to match Complexity xStalife. xStalife just has way too many tanks. The tanks absolutely ripping through the M&M. These SCVs doing a huge organ trail to this expansion. So yeah, xStalife really is oversaturated. Another expansion goes down for Ver. Two more expansions. So Ver going for this mass expansion play. I love this. I absolutely love this for Terran. It's really hard to stop. Unfortunately, it is really hard to defend each expansion just because the Terran mobility is not as good as, let's say Zerg with the meterless or speedlings. So he is going to be really hard. There's no really static. You can't just make channels. Bunkers have to have speed. So it's really a big battle. Defend each base. So there's going to be another standoff with the base. There is going to get the chance. Again, Ver not because I don't think he has enough factories. He only has producing from 3 factories. And I don't think xStalife actually has more factories, but he has been preserving. He has been really cost effective with these tanks. These tanks have lived through so many battles, have been repaired. So it really doesn't even matter about production necessarily, but just how efficiently you can use your units. xStalife is going to take some sort of aggressive stance in front of Ver's base. He's going to try to cut him off, block him into his base, but this contain isn't going to be really successful other than the fact that there are just so many tanks. Normally this is pretty bad, especially since Ver is just straight up tank. He's attacking the 2 sides. Marines, M&M is going to get dropped. Oh, one tank is going to drop into that tank pop. Tank to himself. A friendly fire, but the tank's actually not losing too many, so pretty good defense. I think it was just more of Ver's dropping in not very effective locations on top of his tanks. Ver is going to move out from this side expansion. This base was taken out during that exchange. SCVs, I believe, are lost, so SCV count will be pretty intense for... Yeah, it's 107 to only 64 from Ver. So while Ver expanded so aggressively, actually has not really exceeded xStalife in worker count. So I think something in the future maybe to look at and work on for workers is xStalife expanding more and making less workers, whereas Ver should expand less maybe or make more workers. So pretty interesting stuff. Both players kind of playing off of each other. This is going to be a very late game. This is already 25 minutes long, and it looks like no one is going to die anytime soon. This is going to hurt Ver quite a bit, especially if he only has this many workers. While xStalife has a little bit way too many, xStalife's income probably is going to be a little bit higher. Yeah, he is at mining 1,800 versus Ver's 1,600. If we go to the unit production tab, we're going to have Terran vehicles upgraded from xStalife, so really going for, really focused on tanks, whereas Ver's tanks, I believe, are only 1-0 exactly, so not as heavily upgraded as xStalife, and xStalife actually has a lot more tanks than Ver. This drop is going to go down at the 4th expansion from xStalife. xStalife is going to lose his command center. Another command center here. Looking up for a few expansions, but Ver is going to take that off. Ver picks up his command center. This would be really huge, but a single lone tank is going to be able to do a lot of tank damage to the Marines. They'll be killed by medevac. They're going to rip through the Marines. The Marines are going to rip through the SCV, so that's a huge hit to the SCV count from xStalife. xStalife is going to follow with that huge army of tank and Marine but decides only just to send the Marines. Ver is going to flank him from behind. Is he going to catch these tanks unsieged? And no, this tanks are going to go up. Very smart by xSixVer, predicting that maybe there's a flank, and xSixVer actually takes down this other expansion from Ver. So Ver losing a lot of expansions. Now both players are down to, so this isn't really operating. So both players are down to really 3 bases, probably 2. Both of their mains are mined out. This one's ridiculously oversaturated as well as this. So all these Terrans making too many SCVs unnecessary, even when they have little SCVs. Ver's gonna go for the main base. xSixVer doing a lot of damage. Ver is gonna kill off a lot of production structure. These tanks are doing huge amounts of damage to the flanking Marines. Marines completely wiped out. The Ver is doing too much damage to the production facilities. While in all of this, amidst all of this, xSixVer is gonna try to expand to that with his 5th base. So he is gonna take advantage, but Ver actually loses the command center again at that position. So there's been so many command centers lost right there. I believe 4 in total from that just top position. We're just absolutely ripping through all the production facilities of xSixVer. xSixVer is going to lose this command center if he doesn't repair. Oh, that's seriously, that's just repair. Come on, SCV, repair. That's okay. These barracks are going to get taken out. I think xSixVer is down to 1 barracks, 1 Stargate. Oh, and then he is just going to mass barracks, reproducing all of that. But he's not going to be able to make those factories, even with the 3 attack upgrade. He won't be able to make any more tanks than what he has already. These tanks are going to move in from the back, excuse me for that. So he is going to try to pin Ver into his base. Ver is going to stim. No. Ver is just going to hang out, try to pull back, do as much more damage as possible, possibly. He is going to go for a siege, but the siege is just too late. There's too many units, way too many tanks versus Ver, only 2 tanks. Ver, again, look at these Terrans. The Terran is able to multitask so well. It's going to take out this 5th expansion from xSixVer. Only 5 Marines necessary to take it down. The command center is going to catch on fire, so no SCVs there to repair it. The SCV is watching. Command center is going to go down. So both players now down to no expansions. They are running off of 1 or 2 bases. This is, a few mineral patches for a huge. Gosh, imagine a baneling right here. That'd be intense. But yeah, so even this base getting mined out. Ver is going to try to go for an expansion at the top right position. Actually, in the middle, we do have a small tanks, Marines. Ver now finally taking a pretty equal stance on the tank count. The Marines are going to be saved as much as possible. He's going to go for a Marine count on these tanks, taking out 1 tank. Now it's 4 tanks versus 5 tanks. Ver actually taking the lead on the tank count. Another tank going to get picked, did not actually land in the medevac. So Ver doing immense damage. Marines coming down, forced to line 5 tanks versus 2 siege tanks. These Versus are not going to be sieged, and there are just too many Marines. These tanks are in a lot of trouble if they don't do nothing. The Marines this fire unsieged and actually clean up this Marine army, but I think it's going to be a pretty equal trade. xSixVer was able to save these 2 tanks, but Ver just still producing. I think he's the only player mining really from multiple bases. xSixVer still trying to move out, but just Ver doing a great job denying both players, actually just constantly denying expansions. Even right here, Ver, just look at this one Marine. Yeah, and these 4 Marines are going to take out that 1 Marine being super annoying at that base. So Ver is at quite a few positions, but almost all the mineral patches are gone. It looks like they're going to be a Banshee play, so Banshee is not sure if they have closed this yet. We'll be very interested to see if they do have close. The Banshee's coming in. Very interesting choice. So the Banshees actually, do have cloak. Probably going to do a lot of harass, but, there's just a lot of Marines. I think one thing he was taking advantage of is that he saw Ver really made no missile turrets at any of the bases, and he still isn't. I would like to see a few missile turrets right here for Ver, but these Banshees are going to go straight for that position. I think I heard a missile turret. Yep, mass turrets going down, but this is probably going to be too late. He will need to just scan and probably push with the Marines, and these Banshees will take out a huge number of SCVs. At the same time, xSixVer is going to move out with this smaller force. Ver denying this expansion yet again with just a few more Marines, but a reinforcement. Holy crap, that's a lot of SCVs. SCVs are going to go down, but not do nearly enough. Ver is going to clean up those Banshee forces, but 3 more coming with Cloak. I hope Ver sees this. Oh, Ver misses it actually again, but these turrets are going to be here. So, on the way. These SCVs coming in. Ver is going to still do a lot of damage. These SCVs are now finally being killed. This orbital command needs to get repaired, otherwise he is going to lose a lot. But these Marines just chilling, these SCVs just chilling in the middle of the map, really not doing anything. If we go to the SCV count, it's going to be pretty close. Yeah, we're still a little bit lower behind, 43 SCVs to 53 from xSixVer. With xSixVer just not having any place to mine. If he forgets about this, this is going to be a huge blow. He only has a little bit of minerals, not enough. Will he be able to revive this this command center? I don't know. And it looks like he will be able to mine and repair that command center before it gets exploded. xSixVer is going to take down Ver's army, so these skirmishes are really now starting to favor xSixVer. xSixVer is just able to use that army really efficiently. Ver sending too little of an army each engagement, so Ver not doing enough damage with an army engagement. So xSixVer is going to deny this expansion yet again, but another one here from Ver. Ver is probably just going to hide. He is going to reinforce with a lot of Marines, but not sure if this is enough. Ver electing not to actually defend his expansion, but going to probably counter at this expansion. Now, xSixVer has no bunkers, has no army. This is the only base he's mining from, and the income is still not very great. Only 800 income, 800 minerals per minute. So, xSixVer is going to scout, but he actually misses. He doesn't see an expansion there, so decides to leave. Ver is going to get this drop. This is going to be huge, depending on how many SCVs he kills. Ver just doing a huge amount of damage to this command center. All the Marines come out, no planetary forces. If that was a planetary fortress, that would have done a lot of damage. But these SCVs are just not going to do enough DPS with that medevac there. This is going to be doing so much damage. A lot of SCVs coming out. Just watch this SCV count. Dwindle, almost nothing. xSixVer is doing a counterattack onto Ver's main base. Ver having a lot more Marines, but no medevac. So this is going to be pretty interesting. The Marines, 3-2 Marines versus 2-3 Marines, and finally these SCVs take down all those Marines, but at what cost? I think we lost almost 40 SCVs just to kill 6 or so Marines. Another wave of Marines coming out for xSixVer. Ver actually still no combat shield, so actually life-wise, xSixVer's Marines are a bit stronger, 55 HP versus 45 HP. Bunkers, Marines being loaded up on bunkers. xSixVer looks like a final push. This is going to be very easy. Ver really needs to defend, but Ver has done so much damage economically. Not really sure what stuff. Ver is getting this last expansion up, so Ver will be mining. Oh wow, and he's going to deny this expansion again. So very interesting, very close game. Not really sure who's ahead right now. Looks like it's pretty much even. This almost looks like a base trade situation. Ver is going to take out these Marines, and wow, xSixVer only has 9 Marines left, and a lot of them are here. xSixVer down to only 4 SCVs, still doing a lot of damage to Ver. So this looks like a base trade situation. Ver only with 24 SCVs, but I believe most of them are mining. Another wave of Marines coming for xSixVer. And Ver, if he is unable to deal with this, will be in a very tough situation, having really no army. Whereas xSixVer has no way to mine, and so this is the last remaining army for xSixVer. This looks like the last remaining army for Ver. Ver does have this base, but it is going to get taken out by xSixVer. So Ver really needs to defend this or do something right away. There are Marines scattered around the map. He really needs to just regroup, but this is really the last army that xSixVer can afford. These SCVs looks like just mining from these 2 gases. Another wave of Marines here that xSixVer is neglecting to use. The 2 tanks in Ver's base. Ver is going to see this push. He is unable to. Another engagement in Ver's main base. But Ver still producing. The losing tanks. Wow, 3 tanks. That was a huge blow. Ver is going to float up everything and probably try to leave. Take it somewhere else. These Marines not paying attention. Ver was able to actually make this into a planetary fortress. Another command center here made it to a planetary fortress. So I have no idea. This is a ridiculous game. I have no idea who's going to win. Looks like Ver has these 2 planetary fortresses, so it's going to be a pain in the ass for xSixVer to kill. But at the same time, xSixVer has one base left. He actually has not enough money to make a base anywhere else. He only has 4 Marines. 1 is long distance mining from this mineral field, but that's not going to be enough. xSixVer unable to actually produce any more units, not mining any minerals at all. But this last final push from xSixVer as this one Banshee, but not sure. Finally, Ver regroups all of his Marines, and hopefully we see some sort of, this cloak Banshee is going to pretty much go undetected. There's no missile turrets actually on this side, but if we go here, there was a few missile turrets that might have been taken out. So no way to detect unless he has some scans. Actually, not a single one-will command up for Ver. This Banshee is just going to basically have free reign until the energy runs out. Energy almost going to run out. This Viking is going to come into play. This Viking probably will chase away the Banshee. And finally, the Banshee runs out of energy, and Ver actually catches him with these two Vikings. This Marine army is going to try and catch this other Marine army. Oh my god, I just have no idea. But xSixVer's force is just so big. I don't know if Ver can come back. He really needs to mass produce Ver right away. And if Ver can defend this, he pretty much wins the game. So literally he just needs to defend against this one army. He's down. He only has 4 workers for xSixVer. So xSixVer loses this army, it's pretty much game. There's no way he can actually make a command center. And of course this planetary fortress can't float. But this is a huge Marine force. I don't know if Ver can actually handle it. Marines are a lot. These Marines are just going to go straight in. Wow, a ton of Marines. SCVs are going to repair. The Marines go around and pick off the tank. Sorry about the zooming. This planetary force is doing huge amounts of damage, but these tanks and Marines are just going to constantly repair. The Marines are going to see these back, kill these production facilities. And I don't know if there's any way for Ver to deal with this. This looks like GG for Complexity. It looks like he's going to win this. But Ver is going to transfer some of the drones. Another tank comes out. This is going to be one hero tank. Pulls back to siege. Marines unable to engage just because the planetary does so much damage, and the tank is going to do a lot. SCVs repairing the siege tank, and while siege tank gets picked up almost instantly, the siege tank has only 31 HP. A ton of Marines doing a lot of damage to this factory, but Ver doing a great job. He's cleaned up so much of xSixVer's army. Just if you remember from the beginning, xSixVer had a huge Marine army. I'd say close to 40 Marines and just 2 tanks, and now he's only down to just these 9 Marines left, plus 1 tank, unless the tank was killed as well. So now, wow, another wave of planetary killed 4 more, so yes, life is down to these 4 Marines. It looks like GG, 9 harvesters to 4 harvesters, but Ver is set up to actually mine minerals. These 3 SCVs doing long distance mining. I mean, this is still anyone's game, but I think Ver has the advantage. He can actually build SCVs. This is going to take him eons to actually mine enough for a base, I think Ver has it, but this is, like I said, this is a planetary fortress, so in the case that xSixVer wants to stay, Ver is going to have to make enough of an army to actually take down a planetary fortress with SCVs repairing it. So Ver is climbing back, 20 food to 13 food. What a ridiculous game, and xSixVer GG's. Wow. So I think xSixVer just gave up and realized, okay, he thought maybe Ver had a lot more SCVs than he did, or either way, I think Ver had the advantage. But wow, what a crazy game. This is game 1, so xSixVer, congratulations, takes game 1 against Complexity's xStalife. This is a cast from xSix. Be sure to check out our sponsors. You can find all of their information at www.check6 and then gaming.com. You'll have information on TT Esports, our head sponsor, as well as our other sponsors such as PureTrack, End of Reality servers, as well as Gamers Uniform. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for game 2.